Hello and welcome to FootballFan.Zone, the website that gives you insight from the inside ex-managers, ex-players, referees, journalists alike. I'm delighted to say I am joined here at TalkSport Towers by former England, West Ham and Norwich striker Dean Ashton. Dean, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's kick off by talking about the Champions League. First game that took place, obviously in Russia, Manchester City. They needed to win 2-0 up and get pegged back 2-2. What do you make of the formation? He's gone 4-4-2. He tends to do that, Pellegrini, and I think it's a bit of a mistake in Europe. He tends to do it in the Premier League, which you get away with. But at 2-0 up, how can you throw away a lead like that in such a big game?
Well, especially with the defensive qualities they've got that they show in the Premier League week in, week out, they just suddenly look vulnerable from being very, very comfortable in the game. It seems to be a trend that happens in Europe, and like you said, it could be to do with the formation, and maybe once they are 2-0 up, maybe revert back to a different formation and just see the game out. We saw Real Madrid do it perfectly against Liverpool and just see the second half out. That's what Manchester City need to learn to do.
Pellegrini he got to the semi-finals, of course, with Villarreal, but with Manchester City, it's a club that needs to get to the latter stages and progress in the Champions League. So they're co-efficient, of course, they need to be seeded. It's a problem they had under Mancini. It seems now they've got a problem under Pellegrini. Where do they need to change? Is it about their away performances? Is it about their home performances?
I think it's got to be a mentality thing. It has to be. We see them play against some of the best teams in Europe in the Premier League, and they're able to do it there. It must be a mentality thing, and they've been in Europe enough years to realise what it must take to qualify. And I think it's just naivety as well. It's like you say, it's being 2-0 up and letting lead slip, and again, it's just got to be down to naivety for me.
I agree. I think naivety is the top word, because when you are leading in a game like that, you can't imagine past masters that have managed this, like Benitez and even Jose Mourinho, leading 2-0 away and still getting pegged back. Even at 2-1, the momentum was still with them. Yaya Touré's a little bit of a myth this season. He's performed ever so well, one of the certainly best in the Premier League, probably Europe of that type. This season has been very disappointing.
Yeah, and I'd be a little bit worried if I was Manchester City fans, because after what happened in the summer with what was said about his birthday and these sorts of things, and the kind of rumours that he might look to get away, he hasn't been performing. He looks like a player that's not right mentally, and that could be something behind the scenes. So it's disappointing for Manchester City fans, but he's a top player, and again, you'd expect better performances from him in Europe, and it just hasn't been there.
If they don't progress out of the group and they don't win the Premier League, do you expect Pellegrini to still be manager next season?
No, not a chance. No, I think winning the Premier League, a great achievement, but I think now, after being in Europe for quite a few years now, and the money that they're spending and the players that they've got, you would fully expect Manchester City to qualify, and if they don't, then I think the manager will lose his job.
So they've got CSKA at home next game. Of course, Roma got thumped by Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich are going to win the group. Remarkably, despite being so disappointing, they can still get out of this group. Do you expect them to? Well,
it's in their hands, I think. You'd expect them to win the home game, and then they go. Obviously, they've got to go and win in Rome, and you saw the way Bayern Munich played. It's obviously doable. I mean, Bayern Munich are a special team, and actually, it was an absolute joy to watch them. Especially in that first half. But again, it's hard to see Manchester City go in there and producing a performance on what we've already seen in Europe. So it is in their hands, and they can still qualify thanks to Bayern Munich, but it's going to be difficult.
Going to pin you down, yes or no, will they get out?
I don't think they will, no.
They might have to go to Rome and get a result, which we know isn't easy.
Exactly, I can't see them doing it. I think they've missed their chance, especially with that 2-0 lead.
OK, let's turn our attention to Chelsea. Jose Mourinho knows his way around the Champions League. Obviously won it twice with two different clubs, looking to make it the only manager to win it with three different teams. And who would bet against Chelsea at the moment? Playing particularly well, top of the Premier League, top of their group. But it didn't start particularly well in the Champions League, drawing at home to Schalke. But since then, there seems to be a bit of momentum behind Chelsea, winning 6-0 at home to Maribor.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very good performance, convincing performance. And you mentioned the game against Schalke, but I think that's Jose Mourinho. That's the worst they get, is they get a draw, and we sort of say, oh well, they've only got a draw, and I think that's Mourinho all over. I think you know, if they're not going to win, they're not going to get beat. And again, they're showing that in the league and in Europe. And I see them sailing through the group, especially with this confident-boosting win.
Indeed, and the group's a nice one. Schalke and Sporting as well. I mean, Chelsea done the job away, 1-0 victory at Sporting, and which is a particularly tough place to go. But you get the feeling that Chelsea have got enough, not only to get out of the groups, but progress into the knockouts, the real latter stage of the knockout stage.
Yeah, I mean, they've really improved, I think, from last year, and rightly so. They're one of the favourites behind, obviously, Bayern Munich and also Barcelona, Real Madrid. They're just so strong in every area. You look defensively, midfield and attack. I know they've picked up a few injuries, but you'd expect still players to be strong enough, like Drogba, who's got experience. So they just look strong all over the pitch.
Schalke picked up a 4-3 victory over Sporting. Last minute goal, Robbie Di Matteo, of course, returning as the manager, the only Chelsea manager to have won the Champions. That's going to be a fascinating game, isn't it? He's got something to prove, as have Chelsea as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be brilliant, obviously, for him to play against Chelsea after what he achieved. And Schalke are an interesting team because on paper you'd think they're not that good, but then they've got match winners in Huntelaar and also Draxler, well. Exactly. And so they're dangerous, and Chelsea have got to be wary of that. But again, they've drawn against them. They probably only need to draw against them again, beat the other teams. I think they'll sail through. And
top of the group, because we know how important that needs to be in the knockout stage. You want to avoid the big heads. And if you top the group, of course, invariably you do, although Barcelona are second in their group at the moment. Yeah, and I expect them to finish highest in their group, whether it be 6-0 wins or whether it be grinding out a draw. I think Jose Mourinho knows how to play the European football.